You're listening to the Seahawks Insiders, getting you ready for Seahawks football every Sunday. Presented by Delta, the official airline of the Seahawks. Now, here's your host, Jen Mueller.
We are not exactly getting you ready for football on Sunday. That is because the Seahawks claimed a first-round bye with a win Saturday in San Francisco. Jen Mueller alongside John Boyle, and you walked in the room, John, and I am so jealous. And I cannot believe I did not think to wear my hat today.
I was going to say, you got one too. But
I don't wear hats very often unless it's raining on the sidelines. And so it's sitting on the front seat of my car. Mm-hmm. Dangerous, because anybody in Seattle could want that hat.
Or they could go to the pro shop and buy one.
Or they could go to the pro shop and buy one.
Plug.
Multiple hats, I would think, especially if you happen to have friends around the country. Oh, my niece and nephew need one in Houston.
Oh, my daughter's already fighting over mine.
This is going to be tough, though, in Houston, though, to be quite honest. Right now, I don't want to get them beat up at school.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Auntie Jen might have to come through with a little playoff.
We already had a big fight over my hat the other morning.
How many of your daughters can actually wear that hat?
You get a little tighter, and it's a little big on them, but they can wear it. Yeah.
Did they wear it to school, or do they have a dress code where they can't?
No, they can. My oldest wore it on Monday because she knew she thought it'd be cool because no one would have one yet.
Oh.
Then her younger sister wanted to wear it the next day, and it was a whole thing. So we might have to just get a couple of them. And, hopefully there's more hats to come.
Right. And that's what you can just say. Like, we plan to get a couple more of these.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. John, it really was awesome. Look, here's the thing, guys. We do not have an opponent to preview. You already know this. I am not telling you something that you don't already know. We are still going to spend some time with you together. And I think, John, it's interesting and of note to convey what that locker room felt like after the win and how the team is approaching this week as we await to see who will be coming to Lumen Field for the division round. That post-game locker room was fun in a very different way than I have ever experienced fun in a post-game locker room.
Yeah. I mean, to me at least, I'll let you share your thoughts on it because you've been in more locker rooms than I have over the years in multiple sports. But I got a sense of they were celebrating rightly because they knew they had accomplished something really special. To me, not just winning the one seed, but the way they did it of this division was such a bear. And to have to beat the Rams 2 weeks ago and the 49ers and just these juggernauts of teams, they could really let loose and appreciate that. But you could also already sense right away this is awesome, this is fun, but we got a lot more to do. There's still a lot of work ahead of us. So sort of that balance of we're going to enjoy the heck out of this. We have the time to enjoy it because of the bye, but it's not over.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that stood out to me in that locker room. The first is the amount of cigar smoke was significant. Right. And what I have requested in future celebrations is champagne. More sticky, less smelly. Mm-hmm. I was told maybe we do both. And I said, I can go with that, but we need something to tamp down. Really low ceilings, no ventilation.
You think the 49ers sent a cleaning bill?
Oh, my gosh. And I do like you pointed out what George Kittle said after the game.
That was great, actually.
That was great.
He was asked about, the Seahawks are smoking cigars, celebrating. He said, I would too. He's like, they came in, beat a division rival in their building to win the division. I like that attitude of he could, he didn't like it, but he could respect what was going on.
Well, and I talked to Mike Morris yesterday for an upcoming Seahawks one-on-one. You can see that one on YouTube very soon and Seahawks.com. And he said, we live in a day and age where we're not supposed to say that we want to be the best, right? As athletes and competitors and high performers, everybody knows what the goal is. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. The goal is to be the best. The goal is to allow the fewest points of any defense in the league. But when you say that out loud, people think that you should be more humble, more laid back, more reserved, demure, if that was our word that we used at one point in 2025. And to your point with the celebration, you worked really freaking hard to get there. So enjoy the moment, right? You did get that. If you don't stop and enjoy the moment, then what was the hard work for, right? I walked into the locker room and I'm the first media member who's allowed in. And so I get just a couple of minutes to survey the scene, figure out where guys are positioned, try to have my plan of attack for who it is that I'm going to talk to. And I walk in immediately and Charles Cross grabs me and he says, you got to talk to my guy, Josh Jones. You have to come come over here. Do you know how hard he battled? Now, first of all, Charles Cross never would have done that before this year, right?
Yeah.
And second of all, how cool that the starting left tackle, who just signed a massive extension, is saying, this is the guy you need to talk to.
Who's filling in for me.
Yeah.
And yeah. That's, to me, what this team's been all about this year. It's, in that same locker room is like, they were trying to find Ty Okada to like get him they wanted to get him in the picture before he could do his interviews and or not Ty Okada, I'm sorry, Drake Thomas, who had the big interception, and is like, yeah, just the way they all celebrate each other has been really cool.
And when you think about, I'll keep going with that locker room feeling in just a minute. When you think about, I'm going to go back to Josh Jones, that 8-minute drive that the offense went on in the fourth quarter, unfreaking believable. Yeah. Took everything out of Josh Jones that he could possibly give. I don't know if you saw, but when they failed to convert and you have to run all the way back to the other side of the bench, I mean, he is, you can tell. He's hurting.
He was hurting.
He's hurting,
he only
right?
practiced limited one day that week.
Yeah, he's hurting, and he is still gutting it up, and that was a massive drive that helped to seal the game. Okay, so then I'm continuing on. I've done a couple interviews. I'm standing over by the defensive lineman, and all of a sudden a shadow boxing tournament breaks out. And D-Law looks at me, and he goes, kids, they're just going to go back to what they know.
Yeah.
And it felt like any other day in the locker room.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's cigar smoke, but it was like, nope, this is what we just screw around in the locker room after we have a good practice or a good day.
No, I noticed that when I first came in the locker room after I'd been in a press conference and then I came in, hitting my microphone. And, Leo's got his shirt off and he's dancing, having a good time with a cigar. But two of the younger linemen are sitting there doing their shadow boxing like it's Wednesday practice, just same old.
And again, in the conversation with Mike Morris, he said that shadow boxing, and D-Law has said this to the team, that is one of the things that has brought them closer together. And the fact that you just kind of revert to that because that is also the way that you celebrate with your teammates, I thought that one was really fun. And for as many comparisons as there have been to the Legion of Boom and to this defense, and John, we can look at the numbers in just a minute, it does feel a little bit different to me, partly because of some of the guys on the team. And I'm thinking a Leonard Williams, a Julian Love, who have fought so hard during their career to be in this position and who knows exactly what this opportunity means.
100%. I mean, it was like week 4. Where not even week 4, it was like training camp where me and him are talking to a young Nick. I'm like, we understand, you're a rookie, but there's urgency here. Like a lot of these guys, I guess myself included, it's like you go years in a career just trying to grind to make a playoff spot, and now we have a shot to do something special. It's like you're going to be a part of it, but we need to be a part of it this year. There is no weaning process. And so that's just what it is. We definitely embraced and just said, man, thank goodness we got here. John walked by and he just shouts out like, you're welcome, guys. And so it's, I know me and him, obviously we're close, and it's special to be in this moment.
That I like that because I do think it's sometimes guys who maybe come into good teams almost just take for granted like, oh, this is what the NFL is. And guys who have lived those experiences of being on some bad teams or some kind of middle of the road teams, and like they knew the point of bringing this up in training camp is like they knew this team from the way they finished last season. Like they had an opportunity to do something special, and you can't squander those. And that's it. That just now reminded me of. I remember talking to Luke Wilson, and he early in his career. And he's like, I took it for granted. I just thought we went to Super Bowls because his first 2 years, Super Bowl.
Bobby Wagner said the same thing.
So it's like, that's just sort of, that's what we do. Because literally, he went through 2 full seasons where all he knew was going to the Super Bowl to start his NFL career as a 2013 draft pick. So, they kind of, some of these guys who've been through some tougher times want to let these young guys know, like, look, this right now, you're young, you're new, but this is our moment. We can be really special right now. And over the course of 18 weeks, we've seen him do that.
I was listening to that, and I thought about my senior year playing high school basketball. We had a good team, not good enough to win it all, but I remember getting so mad at one of our freshmen, Allie Stoltman.
You still remember her name? Damn.
Still remember.
Poor Allie's out there like,
poor Allie.
Catching strays.
And she was screwing around during a game.
How dare she?
And I yelled down the bench at her, and I said, boy, I really hope when you're a senior, nobody acts the way that you are. I was so mad because we were so close in a game, and here the freshmen are screwing around. And I'm like, what? By the way, small school, so if you were good enough, you got to play. It doesn't matter. I was just like, man. But like to be again, Nick Emanwarian realizing, and I not only want to be the best, but who knows what happens to some of these guys after this year. Like, this is the window. I better take it as seriously as they do. Mm-hmm. I also love the John Schneider walking by and saying, "You're welcome."
Yeah, that's great.
John was really awesome.
Oh, he was so great.
John was awesome. Chuck Arnold was there. Bert and his wife Allison were there. And John, I'm not exaggerating, every single member of that traveling party, which is over 200 people, got a congratulations from the GM.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting on the bus, John's high-fiving you, saying congrats, as if we did.
We're the reason. We played a lot, but
I wrote the hell out of that story in the press box, let me tell you.
You swung the momentum in favor of the Seahawks.
That was it.
But when you talk about culture and what it feels like, that is one of the more tangible things for those of us who are around the team, but not perhaps in the huddle when they are on the field taking on the 49ers. Okay, so what ends up happening on Saturday is the Seahawks clinch the division in a first-round bye. What ends up happening on Sunday is Seattle establishes the fact that they are the number one scoring defense in the NFL, thanks to the Texans, thanks to
the Colts.
Riley
Leonard, Colts rookie, putting up some numbers on the
Texans.
Texans.
That really helped. And the Seahawks had done all that they can do, and this is something they had their eye on.
I mean, it means a lot. I think we work really hard. We value so many things on defense: stopping the run, blitzing, getting to the quarterback, rushing with 4, stopping the run with 4. All these things, and it led to us being, not allowing teams to score too much. And I think that it means a lot to us, and especially it's a defense that wants to have our own name with the dark side. You gotta show it.
Yeah, we've heard that kind of percolating out from players more and more. I think it was DeMarcus Lawrence that first brought it up, the dark side, kind of midway through the season, and I like it. You play defense this well, you get to give yourselves a nickname.
Well, you get to give yourself a nickname not just for the defense, but remember the fourth quarter is called the death zone.
Yes.
So, I mean, look, I love Legion of Boom because that is exactly what they were, right? Like, they hit hard. Like, the opponents did not stand up after they got hit. There is something about darkness and death, though, that, I love it, and I don't want to be anywhere close to these guys.
It's fitting for these guys, too, because I just feel like they hit hard, they're physical, but to me, it's like this defense just, suffocates you. Like, it feels like there's just, there's nowhere for plays to happen, there's nothing to get going, and I think it's a nice description for, maybe not nice, it's not the right word, but it's an apt...
Fitting.
It's an apt description the way they just suck the life out of offenses.
Well, and the way that it came about, it is also very apt, very fitting, because this is such a cohesive unit. Nobody's really going to take credit for coming up with the name to begin with.
Throughout the season, we were just feeling like we had a really special defense, special players, and then we were also just doing special things. And, we always hear of Legion of the Boom, especially being here. And we were, starting to get to a point where we were like, hey, maybe we deserve our own name, And I think guys started coming up with names and stuff like that. And I think the dark side kind of just stuck with us.
Yeah, he mentioned that, and I asked him later about those comparisons. And it's natural for fans and media and whatever. Like, you're a great defense in Seattle. That's the comparison. That's the benchmark. But, totally different group of guys, different coaches, different schemes, different style, how they play. So it is, for them, they want to make a name for themselves, and they respect what the guys before them did. Obviously, that was one of the all-time great defenses that won a Super Bowl, but they want to kind of create their own path.
Well, and as I've talked to many of those guys who played on that 2013-2014 team, they said, look, we don't mind comparisons at all. Like, you need a way to stack. And if you want to re-rank, that's okay, but you can't re-rank until the end of the season, right? We know what this team is capable of. We know where this team is heading. You got to finish, because the mark of a truly great team is you got to finish. And that team back in 2013, they did finish. And so,
in about as emphatic a way as possible.
Right. And so, the comparisons can only take you so far. But here's what Seattle's defense did this year. Not only did they lead the league in fewest points allowed, but the fewest rushing yards fewest yards per rush allowed. That's what I was trying to say, at 3.7. Across the board, fewest yards per play, 4.6. Yards per pass, it was just 5.1. John, think about how few explosives the team allowed, not to mention the fact that they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in 26 games. And according to For the Numbers, and I'm not really familiar with this site, but they have ranked Seattle's defense as the 12th best since 1978.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with them either, but I like that. And a lot of our fans are familiar with DVOA, which is another advanced stat. And they actually have this defense ranked ahead of the 2013 defense. Yeah. It's in there, I think, top 10 all-time defenses. And the Seahawks team was number one in DVOA, number one DVOA defense. So, yeah, it's, again, in their own right, separate from what happened in 2013, 2014. It's a special group. It
really is. Now, this special group is going to have to deal with an element that, I don't know, they are totally expecting, but also it's the unintended consequence of having a really, really rabid fan base, because they are 100% going to have to deal with the 12s when they're back in action next weekend.
It's leveled up for sure. I think we know that our home crowd is a weapon, but on defense we have to defense it affects our communication being so loud, and so we have to we fine tune it. I mean, I'm sure you guys are out there at practice when they have all 17 speakers blasting. I'm not a fan of that. But we just work it all week. We know that that's just an advantage, but we have to make it an advantage. It's not just something that you can wake up and just do. It requires an extra effort defensively to be locked in.
That is interesting. I remember last year noticing their blaring crowd noise when the starting defense is on the field at practice. And that's not necessarily the norm in the NFL. It's you crank that noise out for your offense when you're going on the road, but they're doing that home weeks for the defense, because that was, again, not to compare, but you go back to Pete Carroll's defenses, what they were doing schematically was a lot simpler. You didn't need as much pre-snap communication, and so the noise wasn't maybe as much a factor, but that's a big part of what this defense does. They're adjusting and doing things, so you've got to figure out ways to communicate. They're never going to tell the fans, stop being loud. No. They love it, but it is a challenge they got to deal with.
Well, and they've said that after a couple of games where there have been some miscommunications, right, where they weren't able to finish the way they wanted to at home. And again, that's not an excuse. My point is you already know what to expect, and so now you've got that many more weeks under your belt where you can dial in those hand signals, or maybe you just can look across because you've got more continuity at some positions than you did earlier in the year, which would certainly help as well. And just as a point of reference for how loud that is, every person in the building, this is a 3-story building, when they crank that music up or the crowd noise outside, you know it. You're like, whoa, they are working on the defense now. Okay. Okay, we're going to talk offensive side of things in just a second after we hear this word from our presenting sponsor.
Delta Airlines is bringing more big wins to the city of Seattle. With nonstop flights to over 60 destinations worldwide, we're moving Seattle forward with 2 new routes to Rome and Barcelona starting May 2026. And with thoughtfully designed cabins, premium service, a seamless travel experience, and our new Delta One Lounge for eligible travelers, your personal off-season is looking better than ever. Visit Delta.com to book your next trip.
We've spent so much time talking about the defense. We mentioned Charles Cross off the top, but he deserves much more conversation. We're just going to do a little bit of it today. Charles Cross signing an extension to stay with the Seahawks. I don't think this was ever in question, John. And I think when you draft Gray Zabel and you know that you want to get that left side of the line just really shored up, it was never in question. It just feels good to have it done.
And we didn't know timing-wise because he did have that 5th-year option. So they could have waited a while. But to get that done now, just rewarding a great player who's been awesome since he got here in 2022. And B, you mentioned Gray Zabel. I love the stability this creates. Of Gray's a rookie. They just extended Abe. You've got a bunch of other, Anthony Bradford, Christian Haynes, Olu, Sundell, all these other linemen are young on their rookie contract still. So you got a chance at some, not that there can't be competition, you can still add to it, but you've got a chance at some real continuity at the position group where that matters most. And so I think that just bodes really well for the future here.
Well, you're not the only one who thinks it matters a lot. Charles Cross feels the same.
It means a lot to me, this team, this organization. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. This place is definitely special, and I believe that in everyone in this building.
I was talking to Charles yesterday, and I said, "Man, Charles, did your mom come in town? Did she watch you sign the contract?" He goes, "No. I'll see her after the season. Might be a month from now, but I'll see her after the season." And he goes, "I called my mom, and I said, 'Mom, I got an extension.'" And she goes, "Wait, what?" And, she doesn't really even know, and she's not tracking. And he goes, "My mom likes football because I play it, and she follows it because of me, but she's not paying attention to anything else." And so he was like, "I was really proud to be able to call my mom. I'm really happy that I could do this," and
That's
that
sweet.
where he's from. Yeah, I thought that was really cute, and he's got a big smile on his face, and his personality, as we have said earlier today, but also Mike McDonald noted this week, is really starting to come through, and that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, he's never going to be, Richard Sherman of the offense, just loud and boisterous, but he is. We're starting to see him kind of come out of his shell a little bit, and part of that just comes with despite being a young man still, he's become a leader of that offense, and especially that offensive line that, as I was saying, is so young. That's kind of how he's taken on that leadership role.
Well, and he also told me he'd done maybe one interview in college before he got to the pros.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really talk to offensive linemen. And to be fair, if you're not a very verbose player, that's not the person that you're going to request in post-game interview. So he didn't have a whole lot of experience. He is finally, I think, comfortable with that spotlight a little bit more. He certainly is comfortable around his teammates. And every single member of that offense loves to see what JSN did this year.
Man.
I don't know how they fully appreciate it until they go back to watch film, because those linemen are just in the trenches, and Jax is, 40 yards downfield, but he's done some pretty impressive things.
He broke the franchise receiving record by almost 500 yards. Broke it
which also was amazing to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
We've had great receivers and great quarterbacks. I'm thinking Steve Largent comes to mind, right? Steve Rabel's going to be upset I didn't say his name first, but
look. We love you, Steve Rabel. But anyway, a
couple more games in the season help, but still.
First Seahawk to lead the league in receiving since Steve Largent. But when Steve Largent was doing that in the 80s, it was like 1,287 yards or something. And now it's almost 1,800 yards. Broke the receptions record by 19 catches. He was blowing things out of the water, and just such a good player, such a big part of what this offense does. I mean, we're going to see AP All-Pro teams probably Friday, and he's for sure going to be on there.
Well, and look, you could tell that his production did not maintain the same level that we saw in the first few weeks of the season, right? Teams started to adjust. And yet, when you needed big yards on some of those third downs, on some of those gotta-have-it plays, he's there in the middle of the field, getting you the yards.
Late in the game, you're trying to extend a drive.
Right. So you knew it was coming. You still couldn't cover him. He was still finding a way to make those plays.
And over this stretch where he, quote unquote, cooled off, I think he still was third in the NFL in receiving over the last 4 or 5 games. So it's not like teams were shutting him down. It was just maybe not on the historic pace.
And also, I got to learn some one-liners from him.
Oh, man, that was so
his
good.
Comebacks. I could only dream to be that witty and that clever.
Yeah, what was it? It's hard to respond to all my fans.
I didn't have a chance to respond to all my fans.
So good.
I'm going to start using that one. Go ahead. Send me a note. I'll try to respond to you. Okay, we're going to wrap this up in just a second, right after a word from our presenting sponsor.
Take your own off-season with Delta Airlines and explore new routes from Seattle to Rome and Barcelona starting May 2026. Plus, with nonstop flights to over 60 destinations worldwide, Delta is moving Seattle forward one adventure at a time.
John, this is usually the point where we would ask for 2 things you need to see for a Seahawks win. The Seahawks are not playing. They have already won.
They already won the wild card round.
They have already won this weekend. So here are my 2 questions for you. Number 1, what's best case scenario for the Seahawks as a team? And I'm not talking about opponents. What's best case scenario that's going to happen for the Seahawks between now and next weekend? Whether that is getting Elijah Arroyo back, Charles Cross is 100%, they get more time together, the defense gets to install some crazy, funky, whatever they're going to do. What's best case scenario?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just the health part of it is you get this advantage. No, I mean, they've been relatively healthy, knock on wood, going down the stretch here. And now I forgot that Arroyo went on IR right when Saubert was getting back. So they haven't had their 3 tight ends together since I think it was October 20th when Saubert went on IR. So just being at full strength. You mentioned Charles Cross. Obviously getting him back is big. Hopefully Kobe Bryant can get back. So not only are you getting healthier, but you're getting healthier while whoever you play is going to go play a really tough physical game and, come out of that with whatever ramifications come out of that. So that's what you played for. That's why these games are so important down the stretch to earn this right.
Okay, so what I'm going to say to that is best case scenario for me, yep, health, that's kind of a given. But to maintain that level of intense looseness. Going into that game against San Francisco, there was no question the team was dialed in. Mm-hmm. But also, they weren't tight. Like, they were just focused. Mm-hmm. They were still, like we mentioned, shadowboxing on the sidelines. They showed up. They're kind of just like, yep, this is a game day. This is what we do. It's very much like those very good playoff teams that we covered a decade ago, right? This is what we do. It's game day. To me, it's maintaining that level of intensity and focus through the course of a bye week when you could very easily let down and then try to overcompensate going into next weekend.
Yeah, and that's a phrase we've heard all year. Julian Love said that a bunch of times. That's kind of Mike's thing, is loose and focus. Like, you can have fun. This is not, we're not out curing cancer, but you also need to work your butt off to be this good. So they've found that balance in an incredible way this year, and that's a huge reason why they are where they are.
And this is my last question to you. Will you be watching any of these weekend's games, knowing, right, the scenarios that Seahawks play lowest remaining seed? Will you be watching any of these games with any amount of intrepidation or anxiety over the next opponent?
Not really. I'll be curious. First of all, I probably won't watch much of them live at all, because when you get a weekend off and you have small children, it's kind of frowned upon to sit in front of a TV and watch football all day when football is your job, keeping you away from them every other weekend. So I'll probably more catch up once we know who the opponent is, but I'll be monitoring. I'll be curious. But yeah, trepidation. I mean, look, we've seen from the Seahawks team, I think they're good enough to beat anybody, and it's more about making sure they do what they need to do to win. So, yeah, curious who they play. We'll have different thoughts on whoever that is, but there's not a team where you're like, oh, no, we don't want that. And it's a cliche to say, but you're going to go through the best teams to get to the, if your goal is the Super Bowl, like if you're saying, oh, we don't want the Rams because they played a stuff, like, guess what? You're probably going to get the Rams in the next round if you don't get them in this one. So, see how it goes.
I do think it's interesting. You're like, oh man, that's going to be a tough matchup. That game is going to be close. And you're like, wait a minute, am I projecting the next game? Like the anxiety I might feel in the next game right now? How about if we just sit and enjoy the weekend as fans?
Also, like, I hate to tell fans this, but it's the playoffs. It's going to be like, it's going to be hard.
And there's going to be something crazy that happens.
It's going to be stressful. I mean, we talk about the Super Bowl winning team, and the Super Bowl itself was this 3-hour-long party, but the game before that, you were living and dying down to the final play. So that's it's going to be fun. So just enjoy the weekend off. Enjoy the weekend, and we will be back next week to break down the matchup to see who is coming to Lumen Field, because the road to the Super Bowl, well, it does run through the 12s and through Lumen Field. We'll see you next time.